So just a business card. This is something that I carry around with me if I'm talking to someone who is not my typical Bright client, studio client, that target client. I'm going to plug them into the Real Kids program. And so this says call the studio today and schedule your session or portrait event. So it kind of gives them both of those options. A marketing card that is just tells a little bit about the Real Kids events. They're all very simple. I do have all the printed pieces here. You guys in the audience have all the printed pieces, our students here. But like I said yesterday, don't feel like you have to invest in all the printed pieces right away. Do one thing to start, add another piece, add another piece. As you go, even if you do one set of pieces per event, they're inexpensive if you do it that way because you're going to order sets of 25 or 2 sets of 25 from the lab, and then you'll have extras after each event. So this is a blog card. This actually is not a printed piece. This is something that we have just the logo template ready to go and drop an image in from each one of our sessions so that after the Real Kids events, we can upload to the blog. Obviously, everything's been ordered because we do the sales right there. Otherwise, on a normal session, I do not believe in sneak peeks, putting anything up before Janice's face. It's going, what? And the reason is because I do want to meet with my clients one-on-one. I want to give them that personal experience of their order appointment, walk them through the process. And if we're giving them sneak peeks, they're kind of over it, you know? And usually if we're doing a sneak peek, it's going to be our favorite image. And so if we blew the experience of showing them for the first time our favorite image in person and getting that reaction from them, you know, it's kind of a spoiler almost instead of a sneak. So same thing with the regular sessions in the studio. They are going to go on the blog, on the website, on Facebook, you know, whatever, after the order's been placed. So here, part of the system is we come home, as we're pulling images for an order folder, we're also pulling a favorite image that has been ordered that's going to go on the blog. And this is that blog card. And then what we do with this to help our clients market us is we go ahead and send them an email with this image on it with a link to the blog that says your child has been featured on Lori Nordstrom Studio's blog. And then they're going to forward this on to their mailing list. And that's what happens oftentimes is somebody just blasts it out to all. And, you know, that's great marketing for you. That doesn't cost you anything. So whether it's, you know, for an event, for a regular session or whatever it is, give your clients a way to very easily shout you out, to talk about you. So we want to give them that power with just that newsletter and a link. This is a certificate of authenticity. This is something that we just print and have stuck on the back of all the prints. All the prints that we do are hard mounted from the lab, and I have some. I forgot to bring them in here. They're out there. But they just get stuck to the back. I do sign these. This is the only place I sign a print. I used to sign the front of my prints way back in the day because that's what I was told I was supposed to do as an artist, and I ruined a lot of prints. I don't have nice handwriting. So now we sign the back, and it still kind of gives them that feeling of a piece of art because we've given them this certificate of authenticity. So this is just a sticker, and we peel it off, stick it back to the back of a print, sign it, and date it. And it says this is an original work created by Lori Nordstrom Studio. It has been printed on professional paper, mounted, bonded, and treated with a protective UV coating for lifelong durability, all by professional laboratory experts. I can't say that either today, can I? Get it all out. And then Lori Nordstrom Studio is proud to hold the copyright of this image as set forth by the United States copyright law. Please enjoy this custom original portrait created just for you. So it's all very, you know, wordy and whatever. So, you know, but it gives that client kind of a, you know, it's a justification for the money that they just spent. So that's something that we put on the back of everything. Notice on these, I don't have this branded with Real Kids. I just have it branded with Lori Nordstrom Studio. And the reason for that is because I don't want to have, you know, 2 million sets of everything that I'm doing. I've got Real Kids, Real Seniors, Lori Nordstrom Studio. They're all under the Lori Nordstrom Studio brand. Our first year collection is called Brand New. You know, everything's significantly separately branded, but it all comes back together under Lori Nordstrom Studio. So anything that we're using on all pieces across the board, we're going to just brand Lori Nordstrom Studio and nordstromphoto.com. This is an email header that, again, it's just a template, obviously simple template, but you can just drop an image in each time, change it up. Usually when I'm sending out an email, if it's going out to the entire 10 families that are coming for an event, or if it's, whatever, I try to gear it towards whoever it's going to. So if Lisa, who's our host for the event that we're going to be shooting here, if I'm sending out an email for her, then I'm going to drop in an image of her kids. And every once in a while we'll be doing an event where I don't have images of their kids, and that's okay, when we'll just use an image that I have in my portfolio. But we want that available. I'm also going to, any personal communication that I have with the client after the event, I want to drop in one of their kids as well, because now I'm personalizing the email. And what happens a lot of times is I'll actually have clients that'll email me back and say, can I use this on the top of my emails, or can you send this to me so I can use it? I mean, absolutely, we're so happy to, because it's got the website right on it. So I want to get them, again, every single possible way that I can that they can shout us out. Just a thank you note. I always have these printed. We've got thank you notes that sit on all the desks in the studio. I want everybody to have the power to be able to write a thank you note at any time that they feel like, hey, I just want to give a shout out to this family, these kids, whatever reason. I love thank you notes being written, and so we put those into our workflow and want to have those available at all times. And then this is our workflow envelope, and we talked a little bit about workflow yesterday, not a lot, but one of the things that I found in my studio on regular sessions, on the sessions that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, we have a super streamlined system in the studio. And with as streamlined as we can possibly get it, I know we have 8 to 10 hours per client invested. And that's a lot of time once you start to figure out, as you break it down into hours. And so with the Real Kids events, the time that we have invested is about half. And the reason it even ends up to be that half is because I'm still doing those personal consultation calls. I'm still really planning with them along the way. We've got half a session, half a sale. Typically our sessions are an hour, our sales are an hour. So with the events, half an hour. And then we've got another half an hour on the phone. We've got a half an hour that we plan for packaging, order placing, all the good stuff that comes along with it. And really, and we'll talk about this more when we're talking about pricing tomorrow, but even when you're thinking about pricing, think about, if you're considering an hourly wage, think about all the time that we put into the investment of our businesses and our clients that don't even have to do with the physical client being in front of us. There's a lot where we do social media, we come to workshops, we watch Creative Live, we're invested in all these things. We're learning new software. We're, the delivery of things. If you're on location, you're driving places. There's so much involved that is not ever, we don't think through the placement of the profit at the end of the day. So think about that as you're going through, and I'll walk you through those steps tomorrow. But what the workflow envelope does is, with our workflow, we want to have everything that we're going to do with this client from start to finish on the front of the workflow envelope. So the Real Kids event looks a little bit different than our studio workflow envelope, but it's the same case. In the studio, workflow start to finish. And then there's a place next to each part of the workflow that gets to be checked off and initialed. So as you bring on team members, as your other people are doing parts of the workflow, they can actually initial, and you can pick up that envelope at any time, see what's been done, and see who did it. And I know for me, even when I was doing things all on my own, I needed a system like this, because I would get to the place where, especially if you're doing an event and you've got 10 clients all in one day, and then all of a sudden the next week somebody's calling you and asking you a question, and you're like, I don't know where I am on that order, and you get a few orders juggled in your business, and I don't remember if I placed that order. I don't remember if I talked to that person or what I talked to them about. And in the beginning, for sure, you think, every time I talk to somebody, I'm invested in this, I love these people, I'm going to remember everything they tell me. And then a week later, you're talking to them on the phone, and it's like, what's that kid's name? And what did they tell me last week? So I want to make sure I write everything down. So we actually have this printed on 11 by 14, I think is the size. What's the legal size envelope? Is that right? Envelopes. and I can take notes on the back, I can put notes inside. If I've got an email from somebody that might be something I need to come back to at some point, I'm gonna print it. I'm not gonna go searching for it in my email box. I'm gonna print it and put it in their envelope so it's right there with their stuff all the time. I also am gonna put in this envelope, as soon as the event's over, I'm pulling an order folder and I'm archiving all the images. And I've long past past the days where we used to say, everything that's ordered will be archived, everything else is gonna be gone. And we actually used to say that, and I got to the point where I'm not throwing those images away, I'm not trashing them. I can't tell somebody I'm gonna get rid of their images. So now, if someone asks, I do tell them, we're always gonna have them. Obviously, that's not something that I'm gonna just tell them if not asked, because a lot of times it's that little stall, it's that objection to making that final decision. Well, are you gonna keep these? Maybe I'll order more later. We all know they're not gonna order more later. So I can't tell them anymore that I'm not gonna get rid of those images. However, I do wanna make sure that I have prepared with them so that they're ready to place that order when the time comes. So order envelope allows my staff and myself to go through each step, make sure everything's done, everything's initialed. Dating it is great as well. If you're just getting into a system, you might wanna date things so that you can kind of track how long it takes you to get through an order. But we just have everything there. The notes on the side is a place that I can just scribble things about the kids, or something that maybe a frame that came back a certain way that I thought was going to look like something else. That could be any notes that we want to put there. So this is it's not a template, Kenna, but it is just a printout, a JPEG that you can print when you order the course. So they'll have that. Okay. That was where I was supposed to end yesterday. We didn't miss too much, right? That wasn't too bad. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about just the studio pieces, collateral that we use? No, everybody's good.
I think there were a couple of just minor questions.
Okay.
Let's see. A question from Karen T. in Montana. Are the stickers for the back of the photos archival?
They are they're on the back of the mounting, which is archival,
okay.
And so I don't worry about them. They're not going to get to the print.
Cool. Let's see. Any other questions? Any questions in the audience?
Guys, one quick question. Do you put, when you're archiving, do you put an actual DVD disc image in the envelope of that order?
I do. Yes, thank you. Did I not?
Well, you were sort of referred to it, but I just wasn't sure if they were actually doing it.
That's exactly what we do. I think I got sidetracked, but we burn the disc and put it in, and then I burn a second disc of the order when it's completely finished and backed. So every single thing that we do, if we deliver a slideshow, whatever, it's all on one DVD. So there's never less than 2 backups of anything that I do. It's on the computer, it's on a DVD. It's on. I don't take it off the card until it's in 2 places. And
but I love that because it's faster if you're going through to find that person. I'm always searching hard drives, and I have how many hard drives. But if you have an actual DVD in the envelope, so organized. Love it.
And then what we do is we delete all the raw files from each client once the order is delivered. We delete all the raw files from the computer. The JPEGs stay there. They don't take up a whole lot of room. And that way, when there is a reorder or somebody calls a year later and something happened to a print, whatever, we're always able to replace it very quickly. So that we have with the Drobo system backup, and everything is archived there as well. So we can get to that. But if something ever happened and we had a horrible crash or something, those DVD backups are always there. So I always recommend keeping your backups at least on 2 different mediums, because as we all know now, your hard drives are not forever, your computers are not forever. We don't know if the DVDs are forever. You never know. At one time we thought cassette tapes were really cool, so so who knows? So okay, so before we move on to today, I want to just hear from you guys.
Lori, we actually have one more question or another to ask. Let's see. So would you charge a client an additional fee to pull from the archive to encourage ordering up front?
I actually don't. And that's one of those things too where if you have a problem with that, if that's something, anytime you have any objection or any stall in your ordering process, write it down and figure out how you're going to cover it before it comes up. And so if I was continually having that issue, then I would probably, come up with a way, since for me, I can't say anymore, I'm going to get rid of your images that you don't order. But I don't have a problem with it. We do have a minimum reorder, and so that's a little bit, kind of takes care of that issue. Nobody's going to call me and just order a 4x6. So it's you could use that as something too. Absolutely, you're welcome to reorder it anytime. Our minimum reorder is X.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I don't even know what mine is. I don't even handle that part much anymore. So.
Cool.
All right, you guys. So what was something that you could throw out that was from yesterday? Yes, Ernie.
Run your business like it's a franchise. That hit me pretty hard. And meaning, I have ErnieShapiro.com. It's, sometimes I go, wow, I'm a small business owner. I have my own company. But in my past, companies that I used to work for, they were franchised. There were franchise. And so I thought about that, and it just hit me like there's a certain level of accountability that you have if you run your business like it's a franchise. So, because we have to have our own, we have to hold ourselves, I have to hold myself accountable for the success of this. And so that really hit. That was a good point for me.
Great.
That was big. That was strong.
Good. Anybody else?
Go ahead. I learned a whole lot yesterday. It was a really fantastic day. But because photography is such an emotional thing with our clients, and there's so much self-doubt and whether we're pleasing the people that we're working with, you said yesterday to trust your choices and trust yourself and be more of you, and that's where your success comes from. And that really kind of hit home with me, to just trust my instinct working with people. And so I like that.
We also all learned what our best side was after watching 5 minutes of the replay, right?
Exactly.
All right, Kristen, you were going to say something.
I was struck by the conversation that we had about the E-myth, and about how you were saying that most photographers are, we think that we're entrepreneurs, but we're really not. But I actually am, because I have so many different projects, and I actually was viewing that from a negative space before yesterday, and thinking to myself, how am I supposed to streamline all of this? But after we had that conversation, I was like, okay, I'm going to approach this as these are all different product lines that I can provide under my brand. And that really was just like a light bulb for me. I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. I have all of these diversified projects, but I can hold them under my company. And I thought that was really valuable.
Awesome. Love it. Miley.
Yeah, so for me, that I'm just starting with photography, and like being here and learning so much with everybody that has so much more experience. And I work with Teresa at the Studio Photos by T. What you say about dreaming now, it's exactly what's happening to me, because I didn't have any clue that I was going to work with photography, and this just happened to be, in my life, and it's just amazing. So it was very thoughtful to hear the dreaming, like what you're having right now.
Great.
I really appreciated all of your different ideas for marketing to other businesses, and the displays, and I'd always wondered, how to make displays effective, so I really appreciated that.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, great. Lori Peanut says, the biggest takeaway idea from yesterday was the birthday sessions for kids. I've been wanting to do fun, stylized birthday sessions, so this was a great way to get in. So.
And Heartpick said, my biggest aha moment was learning to structure your business to fit your life, not to let your business rule your family life. That's another
Yay. All right, awesome. Well, we will move on. So today's the big day. We're down to 2 sessions today, you guys, instead of 3. But that's okay, because we'll get to spend more time with just running through the sales process at the end, and we'll make good use of that time. We've got 2 sessions with little kids, 2 sets of little kids, so that'll be fun. We'll have some fun in here, and lots of chaos, which I kind of like. I always tell moms that if somebody tells me, oh, the boys, I just don't know, I'm like, I like them naughty. And it really gives the mom a lot of confidence coming into the session if I've calmed her nerves. And I learned that from doing newborn sessions, because there's so many things that you have to tell a new mom. You have to tell them your baby will cry. Your baby is going to pee and poop and puke on my stuff, and it's all okay. You got to warn them about these things, because what happens is a new mom comes into the studio and the baby goes to the bathroom on stuff, and she flips out and thinks it's her fault because I didn't prepare her. And so I had to learn, to prepare for all those things. And I tell them, your baby's going to cry, and they're going to cry a lot. That's what babies do, and it's okay. I'm here to handle that for you. And then what happens is, if they get them in early enough like they're supposed to, they don't cry. It's a great session. And then moms think, oh, I have the most perfect baby in the whole entire world. Lori said that they all cry all the time. So it works out either way, whether it's a crybaby or not. And so I learned that that's kind of the same way to go into a session, is to really talk to mom about her kids and about their personalities. And if she's telling me, my daughter's a stage 5 clinger, I don't know how you're going to get her off of me to photograph. We can talk that through, and I can let her know some things that we're going to work through, and the boys are naughty, or she's a brat, or whatever. I'm going to tell her that's okay. I like that. I like seeing those personalities, and that's what I'm going to photograph. Over here we've got little boys on swings, and the little outtake that's down here holding, one of them had a dinosaur, one of them had a teddy bear, kind of those things that little boys, and they didn't want to get rid of those during the session. And so those are things that I have to communicate to mom. It's so great to see them with those toys that they can't get rid of, because that stage is going to be gone really soon. And if I don't say that to mom, then she thinks, oh, I can't believe they had that stupid dinosaur in the picture. But if I can tell her what I'm seeing, this is not going to last forever, then all of a sudden she's got to have that image. That's her baby with his favorite toy, And these two little boys were crazy. They were all over the place, and the home where we did this event had the swing set and the jungle gym, and they wanted to be on it constantly. And so it was kind of one of those, okay, show me a trick, now let's do this. We were back and forth. But then within 15, 20 minutes, you get these, the great expressions and the kids just being kids, and that's really what it's all about. And so communicating those things to mom. This little girl, she doesn't have a ton of hair in her face, but even this much hair in her face with all the strands and stuff, sometimes I'll have people that will ask me, photographers that will say, why didn't you get rid of all that? Like, no. I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell mom, I loved her messy hair in her face. It was so great. And it's just, that's such a precious age that she can just be a little girl. I mean, if I didn't say something to mom about, that's her look. She was sticking that tongue out every 30 seconds. That tongue, oh yeah, that's what I see. You are going to love the images that we got, because I just let her be her, And if I didn't say that, mom's going to see this image and she's going to go, that tongue, I wish she'd get it in her mouth. Oh, her hair's in her face, whatever. But you can take somebody who is, little girl with hair blowing across her face in the wind and never connecting with you during a session, and go back into the house or talking to mom during the order appointment and feel like, oh, I don't know if I got the shot. I don't know, the wind was blowing her hair all over the place and she never really connected with me. She was like in la la land the whole time, and have that feeling. Or you can go into the house and say, you are going to love what just happened outside. She was doing her own thing, loving life. She forgot I was even there. The wind is just blowing her hair beautifully, and you are going to love what we captured. Now mom has to have the portrait, where 5 minutes ago, if I wouldn't have said anything, she would go, her hair's in her face. She's not even looking at the camera. It's a total different perception of how we are seeing things and communicating things. So that's part of working with the moms, is really talking through what I'm seeing in their children and carrying that through into the order appointment. By the time we get to the order appointment, I have already, and the moms we have today, I haven't been able to have much communication with, In fact, one of them I was sending an email to about 3 o'clock this morning that I hadn't been able to communicate with. So hopefully she gets it before she gets here. But typically in these sessions, it's the progression of host mom calls and makes that initial connection. She sets the appointment. She's planted the seeds. This is what Lori specializes in, is wall decor. If asked, she's going to say, you're probably going to end up spending about $1,000. And that's okay for people to understand that. The progression of pricing with this and what I've offered with these events has really changed as well. And I'll actually show you tomorrow the actual price sheets and what that has looked like. But originally, it was just prints in the packages and a little album, storyboard, or dad's desk, like a little desk strip with 3 images. We had a couple framed options, but it wasn't all framed, along with albums in the top package, the little albums. And so we went from that and did that for a while. And then I decided, you know what, I really want to be able to frame stuff. I was working with people enough on framing anyway after the events that this event is so streamlined for taking care of everything on that day. And I was having a lot of lead off on the back end of people saying, yeah, I think I would like to see framing. Well, that was causing me extra work on the end. Well, so why not take care of it there? So then I added frame this collection for, so it still had the same package prices, but we added on framing so they can make that choice. So we did that for a while. And then what happened was I would have people that would be interested, but they weren't making decisions that day because we weren't leading them through the process like our regular clients. So then the involvement came that, okay, duh, if this is really what I want to sell, then why not show them finished just like we do with our regular clients? It can still be streamlined. They're going to choose from 4 different packages. I do get 1 or 2 clients from almost every single event that want to take it a step further. So they've plugged into the cheaper session, $50 per kid. They know that they want to do something for their wall, but they want to go above and beyond. They want me to custom design something for them. If I can't do it before the event, that's okay. I know they're going to justify me spending the extra time on the back end because they're going to spend the money to have a custom design. The rest of the clients, I probably have 1 every event that doesn't order a package. The rest of them fall into that mid-category where they choose a package. And so that's why now the involvement has come to, we offer every package is a wall grouping, and it comes framed. They get, and again, each one of these are a wall grouping. So this is package A here. It comes with 3 10x10s. They can do any colors. I'm pre-choosing colors for them based on the walls that they send me, but we can change them if they want to. Almost always they see it done, and I've chosen colors based on their decor style. If I can't really tell, I'm going to ask them, do you have earthy tones in here? I can't really tell by the picture that you sent, and then I'll design something for them. Again, we can change it. But that's package A along with 2 of the tabletop frames and prints. And then package B is the 3 8x12s that are over here. And those you can hang 3 vertical, you can hang 3 horizontal stacked, you can hang it like this. There's a lot of different options. And I'll be showing you in preview how you can move it around and kind of make it right for the client. Package C is this grouping here with a 16x20 and 2 10x10s. So again, lots of different ways to arrange that. We can stack the 2 10x10s on the side. And then package D is this over here with the Parisian frame 16x24 and 3 8x8s that hang underneath, or a lot of times I'll even have somebody that chooses this collection that will hang that 16x24 somewhere and hang the 3 trimlings somewhere else in the room. So they kind of complement each other in the room. So either way, we're working with people to really decorate a space. And that's what has made the portrait event so different and so profitable, is that we're carrying out the specialization of the studio even in these events. So, whether that's the direction you want to take is to, really make it that, boutique style and go to the work of the framing and all that, there are ways to do it without. You certainly can do it with prints like I did it in the beginning. You certainly can do it with an option to add on frames. And again, I'll show you all that tomorrow, but I just wanted to kind of go through that those are the things that we're preparing mom for all through the process, is getting her excited about just walk through your home and any place you would even consider hanging a portrait. I just want you to take a snapshot of that wall for me. And then I've got options to give them. I'm sending them those options before they ever come to their session. So they're actually getting to see empty frames. They don't have pictures in them, but they're going to see the empty frames sitting on their wall. So it takes about 5 minutes to put a grouping together. It's not lickety-split, but you spend 5 minutes and put a grouping together, and then there's just a little snapshot that you can take right in preview, and you send them that wall grouping. So it makes it really nice. Working with the kids, that's a whole other ballgame. And you'll get to see a lot today because we've got 2 sets of little kids. But one of the biggest things that I think for me and my personality, and we talked about that yesterday, that you kind of have to work with kids in any subject that you're photographed based on who you are. But I don't really try to direct kids an awful lot. I'll play little games with them. We toss balls in the studio. I get a lot of Nerf balls. Ping pong balls are great because you cannot hurt anything, and they usually don't go anywhere where you're thinking they're going to go, so the kids laugh. There's a lot of little things that you can do like that. I don't have the type of personality to do, like crazy faces on my camera and stuff like that. I've never done any of those kind of things, but we'll sing, we'll play games. I will not sing here today. I play music in the studio, and that's always fun too. And that's another thing that I'll ask the moms about on the phone is, what music are they into right now? Because you'll be, crazy surprised at what 3-year-olds are singing and what songs they like. They're wanting, crazy stuff that I don't want my 14-year-old listening to. But it's great to get a song that okay, they're going to dance to this or they're going to sing to this. And so I'll just ask moms, what's their favorite song or what are they into? Sometimes it's Disney, sometimes it's whatever crazy.
Lady Gaga
is out there, it's always something different, but it's great to ask, along with asking them about snacks. And little Smarties are great to have around. I'm sure you guys all know that, but there's also a lot of gluten-free stuff now that, I would say probably 25% of our moms, there's some food allergy that they're talking about. Either their kids can't have gluten, their kids don't do dairy, their kids don't do peanuts, whatever it is, there's something. And so they really appreciate being asked. Another thing I always have with me that I don't have here is hand sanitizer. And moms really appreciate seeing you use it. Especially when you're hacking like I am right now. If they're seeing you coughing there, they appreciate you coming in and washing your hands. I do that with the newborn sessions, with other sessions. We always just want to have, and I'm not even a believer in hand sanitizer, honestly, but the moms appreciate seeing it, so we always kind of have that on hand. All right, finding the light and places to shoot. Always one of those tricky things when you're working in clients' homes and backyards. For me, working in clients' backyards is a personal choice. That's how I started in the business. And when I started the portrait events, I really wanted every single thing about them to be different than what we do in the studio. I don't want ever for anybody to say, well, why would I come and do pay for a full session and those prices when I could do real kids? That's not going to come up because they're completely different. The only thing that is the same is that the specialty is wall decor. So we do packages instead of a la carte. We do outdoor in somebody else's backyard instead of at the studio. And I do shoot outside at the studio a lot, but it's still them coming to me in my location, and I'm far away from everybody in a tiny little town. So, so that's different as well. It's more convenient for them. I am encouraging people to talk to their neighbors and get people around them involved. So it's more of a local thing. So the sessions are shorter. They do the sale immediately following. Everything that I could think of, I wanted to be different. But one of the things that I told you guys yesterday, when I started, it was hand-painted or black and white hand-painted portraits of children. That was my specialty. And then over the years, I realized that I had to start photographing newborns because I was going to lose the children's market if I wasn't photographing the newborns first, because somebody else would get them. So I started photographing newborns in about 99, 2000, and actually became known as a maternity and newborn photographer. That was really the majority, the bulk of my business, because I made that decision to go, I got to photograph newborns. I'm putting it out there that I'm a newborn photographer. And then all of a sudden, I started not having as many kids to photograph, kids are my favorite. And so in 2009, when we decided we were going to start this new product line, I wanted it to be all about kids. And so that's part of the reason it's sitting up through 14. The other reason is because I want those newborns and first-year clients in the studio, and I want the seniors in the studio. But sitting up through 14 made perfect sense to me. It also made sense to me to do outdoor natural light sessions, because that's not the concentration in my studio. So again, anything that we could do to make it different, it's still my style. It's always close up, it's always kids being kids, always black and white. So it's still my style, but it's a little bit different than my studio portraits. So when I go to somebody's house, I don't ever go and pre-scout out a house. I don't do that even with weddings. It's just not part of my mojo. I'd rather go and have to be creative in the spot that I'm in. And so when a mom tells me even, oh, well, my backyard's not great, or I don't know where you're gonna shoot, I tell her that. I tell her, that's okay, that's my job to find the light, to figure out where I'm gonna shoot. And I will tell them, because moms will get stressed out about, well, I'll make sure the flower garden is okay by then, or I'll make sure I've got this pathway finished, or, she's worried about all kinds of things that I am never gonna see in the images. And if I don't tell her that, she's gonna be disappointed because I'm not showing off her beautiful garden or her beautiful pathway or porch or whatever. So I've got to tell her, you know what, none of those things matter. This is all about the kids, their expressions and their personalities. So I want her to put that out of her mind, and it really is. I mean, if you look around, any of the images and the images that you've seen, here, I'm always shooting as wide open as I can. I don't care about the background. I obviously want the background to be in continuum with the subject. That foreground, subject, and background continuity is very important. So, even something like this, I don't know how close up you guys can get to this, but we've got a fence line in the background here. Drives me nuts. But this was a special little moment captured of these guys. This is in the same spot over here with them holding the little teddy bear. Same spot, but I moved my camera angle so that I wasn't getting this fence line. We kept it because Mom loved this. You can't even see one of the little boys' faces. But again, we're talking about moments, these moments between these two little boys. So we kept the shot. Normally, if I was doing this at home in the studio, I would never show this. So, so that's kind of the difference too. We're showing it because it's immediately following the session. But I always want to watch for those kind of things. Just really careful about the background. Finding light when you're working outside is something that I'm looking for reflection off of natural surfaces. So whether it's the white on the side of the house or the driveway, and I have had moms give me crazy looks when my favorite place to shoot all day is the driveway. But you've got great light a lot of times in the driveway. Another place for great light, and especially if you're in Seattle and it's a rainy day, open up the garage door. And right on the edge of that garage door, you've got really beautiful light a lot of times coming in, because you've got the nice overhang that's going to protect the kids from the elements, but you've got great reflective light from the driveway. And so, look for those different places. And a lot of times it's just a matter of moving your camera angle to avoid a hose on the wall or, something that's going to mess up your background. So I always want to look for that. I shoot pretty tight, as you can see. When I'm outdoors, I almost always shoot aperture priority and as wide open as I can go. So if I've got little kids, typically I'm going to shoot, if it's 1, I'm going to shoot 2.8. If I've got 2, I'm going to shoot 3.2 and kind of go from there. I'm going to shoot always as wide open as I can. In the studio, and we'll talk about studio settings when we get the lighting set up, that's of course going to be manual and different, but aperture priority outside. And did you have a question?
As far as shooting in living rooms, do you have your radio poppers with you? Are you using off camera? Because that's what I usually do, is I'll bring just a one light setup with me and shoot off camera. Yep,
when I go to somebody's house, I use the exact same setup I do at my studio, and we'll use that here tomorrow morning. If not today, I'm not sure yet if we'll use it or not. I've got a meter and stuff in here. But I use one Larson softbox, 4x6 softbox, and one reflector. And I'm using photogenic strobes with my softbox and the radio poppers. So I am using strobes, and one of the things that I love about the studio light is that we're gonna freeze motion. And so, when you're outside and you're running around and you're chasing kids, you're gonna have soft images. I mean, it's just part of the game. So I overshoot a lot more when I'm outside because you're shooting and making sure you got it locked in focus, and and with the events, you have to be careful of that, and you get rid of one, right away. It's also another reason why I don't like moms following me around, is because I am deleting in camera, and moms kind of get freaked out if they see you deleting pictures of their kids. So, and it's true. So if anyone ever asks me, I just tell them I'm checking my settings, and in the studio, I will do that before I shoot any series of images. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna take a test shot. I'm gonna shoot and check it, and learn to use the back of your camera in that way, and not be afraid to look at the back of your camera. I know for me in the beginning, I would never look at the back of my camera in front of a client, because it was 2000 and 2001 when it was such a stigma to be digital. So I didn't want anybody to know. Now everybody is, so it doesn't matter. But use the back of your camera.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Do you move your lighting setup, or once you've got it set up, it's set up?
Once it's set up, it's set up. And because with the events, I want one outfit. They're not going to change clothes. And I want one location. And so if we choose to make it an indoor location, it's all going to be the same for an event. So today we're going to shoot on a brick wall, a white brick wall, and both of the sessions that we shoot will be shot in that same spot because it's an event and it's all going to be consistent. So, I'll bring other elements into the scene, and especially if I'm shooting indoors in someone's house, it's really fun because you've got new props to use. So I'll go and I'll do a scout out before we start the event, and I'll just tell them I'm going to just scout out for some props, and I'll bring in ottomans and chairs, and this little toy box would be great to use. So we can just pull some stuff around. We could even throw pillows on the floor. And typically in someone's home, I will bring a background with me, but I very seldom use it. I'll always have one as a backup, but typically I just want to clear a space on a wall. And I'd rather use something that looks natural, that's a wall with a baseboard and a floor that looks natural when I'm doing these events. Totally different in the studio. But for the events, I want it to be that real kid, real life. So, and that's the philosophy, but that doesn't make it right for everybody, but that's what I do. So, any other questions about that? You good? All right. Some of the looks moms have to have are some of the things that I already talked about, but I always want to make sure that I'm just capturing their personalities and really who they are. A lot of my images do not have kids looking at the camera. And, back in the day, I know that was a thing where you'd always get that off-camera profile shot. That's not what it's about. It's just about kids doing their thing, whether it's looking at a flower or playing with a toy or laughing and looking up in the air, whatever it is. I am not worried about them looking right at me. I want them to be doing what they're doing. The way that we can get moms to love those things is by talking about them and communicating that to mom. So I always want to go in and tell her what just happened. And this works no matter what age you're photographing. Even high school seniors, I always want to talk to moms about what I saw in their child, because it's still their child. And a lot of times, even at that high school senior time, they're kind of having a little bit of rockiness, especially moms and daughters. And even moms and sons, when they come in sometimes, they're at each other because she wants him to wear this and he is refusing. And so they're having these moments. And so I want to bring it out as soon as possible. He is an amazing kid, and here's what I see. Another thing that I always do, and this reminded me because of high school seniors, and this is how it started, but with high school seniors, I always ask them, is there anything that you're nervous about, afraid about? Is there anything that you are, don't like photographed? And you would be amazed at the things you hear. And then I also want to ask them, is there anything that you want to make sure that I feature? And they'll tell me, I hate the way this looks, or my smile looks fake in pictures, or I've gained 10 pounds this year and I'm really self-conscious about it. Whatever it is, they will tell you all kinds of things if they're just asked. And so I've learned that if I can ask them that, and they've told me, yeah, everybody says my smile looks fake in pictures, and I'm really self-conscious about it. And that's something I can communicate to them during the session. I can say, your smile looks so natural. I love when you laugh. You look amazing. And keep telling them these things that I'm seeing. And then if you tell them that, it's going to happen. And so learning that from the senior session and taking it into working with children, it's kind of that same thing, communicating with mom. Is there anything that makes you a little nervous about having the kids photographed? That's when I'll get those answers about, oh my gosh, I don't know how you're going to control these kids. They're out of freaking control. And so that gives me the opportunity to then to say, you know what, I love it when they're a little naughty. It's totally fine. Or they'll say, well, she's really shy right now. And whatever they're saying, I want to communicate back to her that that is okay, and that's part of what we want to capture in that child. So those are the looks that end up being 10 years ago when I'd be photographing. If I was having some of those things happening in a session, I'd be kind of, oh dear, what are they going to say about this? Are they going to tell me she's biting on her finger? Are they going to tell me, I had a little boy years ago who he was about 2 years old, and he had his blankie that he would not let go of and sucked his thumb. And his mom was constantly, take your hand on your tongue, she was mad. And to the point of the little boy ended up crying through most of the session because she was just wanted that. And finally, it just hit me in the head, this is who this kid is right now. This is 2 years old for this child. And I'm not going to say the name because the mom's now a photographer and she's probably watching. She's a good friend of mine. But she knows who he is. But, it was one of those things where it was that hit me in the moment face. And we finally let him do his thing because I told her, you know what, this is going to go away. You're going to love this. This is how you see him every day. We need to capture this. And so finally she let him be and doing his thing. And the thing that she ended up with a wall portrait of, and I ended up competing in competition, was sucking his thumb with his little blanket hanging out. He was in a diaper, not even in his clothes, and we were outside, 2 years old, and they ended up with a large wall portrait of it, and I competed it, hand painted the blanket blue and called it Little Boy Blue because he had this little sad look on his face. So, those moments that we can transfer into really precious memories for parents. I always want to look for the stage that the child is in right then. That's what we're capturing and photographing. And if I can, I'll take that into a regular session as well. When we do this session tomorrow morning, we're going to photograph a whole family. And it's something that's very important. We talked yesterday about how we get those dads to the session and at the times that I want to photograph. And when they come in the door, I want to always make sure that I'm telling a dad, thanks so much for coming today. This really means a lot to your family. This is a really special time, and I really appreciate you. And a lot of times that puts the whole session into perspective for them. All of a sudden, mom is going, oh, maybe I do like you today. And it's like that thing of a family getting ready for church on Sunday mornings. Everybody's at each other. The kids are throwing hairbrushes at each other. Mom's laying out clothes, and everybody's like rah, rah, grabbing breakfast on the way out. And then you get to church, and you're there, and everything's fine. And that's that kind of thing. I mean, our clients prepare for so long, and especially the moms, they're getting clothes together, they're trying to get the hair just perfect, getting all these things done. And if we can, first of all, calm that in the communication process from the beginning, letting mom know, I just want them to be them. Don't worry about doing hair any other way than you would normally do it. Don't worry about anything. Just bring you. I can let her know that from the beginning, and the session's going to go much easier. Then I'm going to let dad know how much we appreciate him being there. And all of a sudden, cell phones don't matter anymore. They don't worry about getting back to work. If I tell dad when he comes in, I love the way your little girl just thinks you're the best thing ever. She's daddy's little girl, and you can tell. Guess what he wants me to see for the rest of the session? He's not thinking about anything else except for making sure I know that's daddy's little girl. And then they're going to see that in the order appointment, and they're going to see it again when it's hanging on their walls. That's what they're going to remember, is the experience they had during the session is what they're going to see in their images. So think about that as you're photographing, and even as we photograph today and tomorrow, how we can turn that into the sale. All right, and that leads right into the STAR experience, and that's just what we call the something to always remember experience, and goes back to what we talked about yesterday, kind of, giving them something to talk about. If they're excited when they leave and had a great time and you treated their kids wonderfully, the kids are excited, it's a whole different experience that they can get excited about talking to their friends about. And I love when it's the kid who actually, will go out and say, I had so much fun today. Isn't that a great thing when you're doing a session? And usually kids are leaving and they're mad because they had to have their hair brushed and they had to put on certain clothes. But if they have a great time, that means so much to a mom. So always think about something that you can do to kind of take it a step further and make it a great experience that they want to talk about. Are you going to say something, Miley? That was a stretch.
Yeah.
All right, I think, look, this is our checklist for the day. Do we have time for this? Okay. Oh, good. We got lots of time. So preparing for the event, this is the checklist that we just print out in the studio and make sure we go through everything before an event. How many times have you gotten someplace and not had something that you needed? I'm the worst. I have to have a checklist or nothing happens. I am kind of known for leaving, and Stacy, who just had a baby, I know is watching this and she's gonna laugh, but I'm known for leaving my studio, coming back, getting, I forgot this, and then halfway down the road again, turning around, coming back and getting something else. So we can't do that with events. You've got 10 sessions to prepare for. So we've got this checklist that we go through, everything from your gear to the backgrounds and lighting that you're gonna take, to any printed pieces that you need for the event. I take along, of course, the model releases, that client profile sheet, the order forms, order appointment cards if we're going to do something that is like a regular studio event that we're doing that they're coming back to the studio for. We're going to do the host your own cards, and that's the one that says, hey, host your own party, here's how you can do that. We're going to take along props if it's a themed based thing. A lot of times I'm just asking mom to bring something. I'm going to ask her on the phone, what is he into right now? What are they into right now? And she's going to tell me, and I'm going to ask if that's appropriate. The one session that we're going to have later this afternoon was they had the 12, 14, and 16-year-old that I had said, go ahead and come. Well, communications had crossed, and the 16-year-old had planned something else, and they decided that since they couldn't do all three, they decided not to do it. So, but they were all musicians. And so the middle one sang and the other two played instruments. And so I said, well, just bring your instruments and have the middle one bring a microphone, and we'll have some fun with that. So just by asking, we can kind of pull that out, what we want to have for the event. And then I also want to take samples. So, an image box, a DVD case, an album. I want to take those different things so that they can see them. Don't worry when you're starting if you don't have all those things. Get one thing at a time. Get one thing per event and say, if I sell this many packages at this event, I'm going to get an image box for show. And it's even okay if you do it with your own kids. That's totally fine. And again, I would look at that like I would having a home studio. I want to decorate with portraits of my kids because I want to say this is important to me and I value portraits as well. So don't worry if you have to get samples of your own kids. I think that's perfectly logical, and you can verbalize it very positively why it's your own kids. I want you to know how important photography is to me. So those are all the things that we take along in that checklist that you'll have. So, okay, and that's going into the next thing. So let's take some questions.
All right, awesome. We're doing great today.
Yeah, right on schedule.
Start in the audience, Ernie.
High maintenance moms, meaning super high maintenance moms. Do you handle it all at the front end? You have a very calm demeanor,
Yeah.
I can only imagine how, and we'll see it today, I'm sure.
Yeah, and part of the high maintenance mom thing is somebody's coming to your studio or your business or you're going to them for the first time. That's going to happen a lot more than if someone's referring to you. And an event is a referral. So they're calling their friend saying, this is my photographer, I love her. Even if it's that first one that you're doing and it's not actually a past client, you've still worked with this one mom who's communicating to her friends that this is how it's going to go. And so as long as you're in, I am very calm and I'm pretty passive about most things, but as far as structure, I'm, this is how this is going to go. This is what I need you to communicate. And it's not in any kind of aggressive or controlling way, but it is a system. And I think it's pretty obvious when I'm talking to them that this is how this works. So when I'm talking to them, typically in a house, if I'm going to somebody's home and I'm shooting outside, it's going to be a little bit different than it is today. What I'm preparing them for is that we're going to have a separate room that we're going to do sales in, and a separate room that we're going to have kids playing in, that they're going to go after their session. Mom's going to be here for the sale, kids are going to go here. So if I need to have a babysitter there, I will. A lot of times we've got mostly kids that are, kind of that age that you can pop on in a Disney movie, have the snacks in there. There's usually, in most of these houses that I work in, they've got a playroom, a downstairs, something where the kids can pull out Legos or books or whatever. We always have a movie playing, and it's always Disney. I don't want to have anything that could offend anyone, and you're going to have all levels of people, and that's where the real high maintenance comes in, is when somebody comes in and something's offensive to them. So we always want to be super, super on the G plus side about everything. So, and the same thing comes with snacks and that kind of thing. I don't ever want a mom feeling like I had something there that her child can't have, and then they feel left out. So those questions all get asked beforehand. I want the host mom to be communicating with her guest that when you come in, Lori's going to take the kids, go outside. I'm going to show you all the great stuff she has to offer. And so they are playing host. I have even had our host mom sell for us, which is a risky thing. But I have done it because I've had host moms that have wanted to, because they love seeing their images in preview and how we're playing with them, and they want to do it for their friends. And that's actually turned into somebody who's done sales for me before. But you just have to play all those things by ear and be the one in control. For the mom who comes in, I've had more dads than moms that have been the crazy, I'm trying to photograph this kid, and they're over here doing la la la, dancing around and trying to get their attention and trying to make them smile, and they think because they're smiling at them way over here that I should be taking a picture, right? And so that dad obviously was not prepared, and it happens, like I said, more times with dads than moms, because I've communicated with mom, but she hasn't said to him, you're going to stay out of the way, right? And so dad's there and he's doing his thing, and so when that happens, I'll just stop and put my camera down and let him play it out. And eventually he's going to look at me and go, why aren't you taking a picture? And then I'm going to say, she can only focus on one of us, so whenever you're done having her focus on you, I'm happy to continue. And I say it in a nice way, but it puts the point across. And usually it's, I'm sorry, and they get out of my way. But but that's my personality, and I'm going to just put the camera down and, all right, buddy, whenever you're done. But is there a particular high maintenance mom that you're like a circumstance?
I had, and I don't think she's watching, so that's good. But, and she, and of course I wasn't doing this census. It was just a, mom and her daughter, and she was like 18 months old or something. And she kept wanting to put a ribbon around her daughter's head, and her daughter didn't want it on, and I didn't want to get really involved, but the kid kept taking it off, and the mom, and she kept pulling it down, and then I realized later the reason that she was wanting that on there because her daughter didn't have a lot of hair, and so I realized you want everybody to know that this is a girl and not a boy, and that's why she wanted that on there. But again, maybe I should have asked that in the front end and said.
And that's one of those things that if you're asking, tell me anything you're concerned about, coming into the session. Is there anything you for sure want me to feature, anything you don't want me to feature? And she's going to tell you. She's going to tell you, everybody thinks my kid is a boy. I want that bow on her head, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you can talk about too. You might even say, well, she's kind of at that age. Is she grabbing on it? Does she keep it on her head? And if she says no, there are bows now that you can actually stick on a baby's head. Double-sided tape, stick it on there. I used to cut hair, and so for years I kept, the fake hair, what is it called?
Extensions?
The old man hair.
Like
Thank you. And we had toupee tape at the hair salon, and I would keep toupee tape in the studio and just tape stuff on that I needed to tape on. It works with birthday hats. It works with all kinds of things, because with birthday hats too, the kids are always taking them off, and the moms want them on. There are going to be those moms, not with the events, because you're telling them they're not going to be right there beside you. But there are those moms who are in between every shot, like brushing hair, and you just have to be patient and let them do their thing. If that's that important to them, you know. And I do have one of those moms, and they're one of my favorite clients. She is high maintenance in that way, but in no other way. And so it weighs out. She's worth it. But she is one of those that's in between everything, brushing those two girls' hair. So yeah, I've dealt with that.
All right, Lori, we have time for one more question. Amy would like to know, do you ever take photos of kids with autism or any other mental handicaps? If so, do you do anything different?
I don't do a lot differently with kids, and yes, I do photograph kids, and I do a cancer camp every year, and and not that those kids look or act differently, but I have several kids that have had autism, all kinds of different things. And it's the only thing that is different is that you really do want to make sure you're asking how to care for the child, and in that circumstance, you may not take a child outside without their mom if they need to be there. Safety is always first. So, if it's a safety issue, definitely not. But typically, kids are kids, and it doesn't matter even if I think moms really appreciate when their children are treated like they're normal, even when they're not, And one of the orphanages that I work with in Ecuador is an entirely handicapped orphanage. They all have a lot, and they're severely handicapped. And it's one of those things that there are many of them who don't have function of anything that they can really control, but they have it going on up here. They know when we're there. You can see that even if they can't physically smile, you can see it in their eyes. There are some that really are physically handicapped, but can kind of verbalize things and get it out, and they know we're there. They are such special people. And I know if they actually had moms that were there with them, those moms would want us to be treating them just like we were treating them, hugging them, loving them, holding their hands, telling them how special they were. So we want to treat those kids just as good or better, and like they're just special, normal people.